All right. Sorry for that delay. That delay happens every day because Twitter is on Twitter. Anyway, we're going to have to fix that. Sorry about that. Welcome into the Rant, everybody. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, live from the beautiful E-Gallery studios in the fabulous Dallas Design District. It's the Radio Misfits Dallas, home planet, radiomisfits.com. So be sure and check that out for all of your podcast needs. God, I'm already talking. I'm already slurring. It's Friday. It's not even noon. Well, it's noon here, I guess. I got a problem. I got a big problem. And before we're going to be able to move forward seamlessly with all the day's headlines, hot topics, current events, and information, we're going to have to address this. Hold on. You hearing this? Listen. Do you hear the lack of suction in that straw? Do you hear? Can I just show you guys something? This is a 7-Eleven Big Gulp. And, I don't know how much 7-Eleven is making. I don't know if they're just crimping by or if, I'm kidding. They got a lot of money, okay? It's a giant corporation. Can they maybe invest a little bit more in their straws? These freaking things, I can't open a straw at 7-Eleven without cracking it. Without somehow, how do you, maybe we do this. Maybe you make the paper condom, the straw condom. We talked about them the other day because I'm sick of you people not throwing out your straw condoms. You leave them right there on the counter. The trash is right there, man. In some cases, there's actually a hole in the counter where you're leaving the straw. All you got to do is push it in the hole, people. Come on. Yes, this is another one of my pet peeves about how we are failing as a civilized society. Okay, so move on from the straw condom situation. The straws themselves are just unnecessarily flimsy. I go like this, because I was raised like a primate. This is how I take the condom off the straw. So imagine the white condoms on the straw. I pull the straw out, condoms on it, and I go like that, like on a surface. And I don't know, maybe my hand doesn't slide right and it always bends it and then it's cracked and now I'm going through another straw. And then if you do successfully get the straw removed from the condom without cracking the straw, and you do get it in your cup and you're in your car, the first time you bend it, it's going to crack. It's going to crack. And then you have a situation that I'm dealing with now, which is really poor suction in my straw. I may dehydrate on the air. You'll see it. That's garbage. That is garbage suction. Every time I go, when you suck in through a straw, you want a good 99.999 fluid. Okay, you don't want any air in there. But what I'm dealing with here is about a 50-50 air to fluid ratio, and that is no way to drink, no way to stay hydrated. Peter says his lovely is saying McDonald's has the best straws. They do. They do, man. This is why I'm tired of the McDonald's slander. I know there are a lot of choices, and we take McDonald's for granted because we all grew up with it, and there's a McDonald's within a half block of everyone's home in America, right? That's why we take McDonald's for granted. But pound for pound, day in and day out, McDonald's hits home runs. Are they exciting 500-foot blasts? Nah, they just go over the fence. They clear the yard. But guess what? They're home runs. They are home runs. There is nobody in the world that has a better potato game than McDonald's. And I'm not just talking about the French fries. Have you had the hash browns? Nobody works with potatoes the way McDonald's does. I'll also draw your attention to the Coca-Cola. Nobody has better fountain drinks than McDonald's. And I'll tell you a secret there. It is true. McDonald's Coca-Cola from the fountain tastes different than every Coca-Cola that you're going to find, whether it's Coca-Cola at a 7-Eleven or a gas station or wherever. Why? Because the Coca-Cola company sells those places syrup, right? It's the syrup that gets mixed with the carbonated water in that machine. The syrup is what the company sells. When Coca-Cola at least this is how it used to be. I worked for 2 months in a summer on a truck that actually went around to different stores to make sure that they were using the proper amount of syrup. Coca-Cola mandates how much syrup you're allowed to use. Now, some sketchy ass places, they'll use less syrup. Why? Because they want to stretch it further, because they want to buy less Coca-Cola syrup. And when you go there to that gas station, you're like, this is kind of a weak Coke. Okay, 7-Elevens, other places, restaurants, stuff like that, they have to adhere to a very strict syrup policy mandated by Coca-Cola. They want control over their flavor. Guess who doesn't have to pay attention to that rule? McDonald's. Why? Because Coca-Cola's like, you sell so much of our syrup, you can do whatever. So McDonald's juices their syrup game. Coca-Cola at McDonald's is just a little bit sweeter and a little bit better. The other places, like you go into like, I don't know, I don't want to name a place, but let's just say randomly off the top of my head, Applebee's has like a deal with Coca-Cola. There's a lot of Applebee's. Applebee's will go in and negotiate that syrup thing. Applebee's wants to use as little syrup as possible because it's their margins. McDonald's don't give a fuck. McDonald's just wants you to have the best Coca-Cola possible. And they hit home runs every time. And yes, Peter, their straws are fantastic. Whitney says, oh, my McDonald's hash browns are so yummy. Yeah, of course. There isn't a person. Look, I'm telling you, my death meal, they're sticking the needle in my arm in 2 hours. And they're like, what do you want to eat? I mean, I don't know what the full menu is going to be, but it's going to be about 5 McDonald's hash browns. I'm having those. I don't want the cheese au gratin hash browns from Bob's or something like that. No, I want fresh freaking McDonald's hash browns. Hot. About 5 of them. You know what? Just put them in a bucket. Just give me a bucket of hash browns. They're so good. They're so good. And they're not even the best thing. They might be the best thing. Nah, filet-o-fish. Still the best thing on that menu. A hot, fresh filet-o-fish. Oh, my God. You can only, that's a 2 times a year thing for me. But I'm telling you. It's a good sandwich. There's Kojak. Thank you so much. I want to make this mention. Pledge week will never end because we didn't make it. But a couple of people tipped yesterday. I didn't update the scroll, or I've quit. I've quit. But that's okay. Kojak, man, stepped up big. Thank you so much. Mama B. Thank you so much yesterday. Peter, the aforementioned Peter. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. But call is still out there if you can drop. Oh, why is Antecedently on this day up? That shouldn't be up. There you go. That should be up. Drop a little something if you can. We appreciate it. This show runs on your gratuities. I hate doing the evangelical part of it, but thank you to the folks that did support us this month. We didn't make it again, but we came close. We came closer than I thought. Thanks to all of you guys pulling together. Still one day, so let's see if I can get something for this show. That'll be great. All right, enough. I hate that part of it. What else? So I've ranted on the straws. I stopped at the gas station again, where I saw the homeless dude yesterday who was selling banana bread, like the world's most expensive banana bread. Yikes! He wasn't there. I was kind of pleased that he wasn't there, because I didn't want to pray with him again. I told you yesterday, dude selling banana bread. He's telling me he's been a lifelong drug addict, and he's gotten better, but now he's selling banana bread at gas stations. And would I mind buying some banana bread for his ministry so that he can help other people stop doing drugs and start selling banana bread? It's a big banana bread game. And I didn't have $20 for 2 loaves of banana bread. And I will ask again, who does? Who is spending $20 for 2 loaves? Look, I know it's drug addict, gas station banana bread, which means it's probably good. If you're going to be really open-minded about it, it's probably good. It's probably homemade. Somebody's grandma probably made. It's probably delicious. Dude doesn't go out selling. When the dude wants to sell something, you know what they do? They sit around and they're like, what can we sell that's freaking awesome? And somebody said, grandma's banana bread. That's probably how this whole thing started. Somebody's grandma made some awesome banana bread. And so that's why I'm saying I don't think the product is poor. I just think $20 for 2 loaves of banana bread is nuts. So I show up today. I don't want to see this guy again. I feel guilty. And I don't want to pray with him. I'm not a prayful dude, but it was in the moment. And he's like, can I pray for you, brother? I'm like, well, why not? Right? Well, why not? I was in full Larry David mode at this point. I'm like, well, let's pray. And so he's got his hand on my shoulder, and I got my hand on his shoulder. And here's what he's doing. Oh, I didn't tell you about this yesterday. I couldn't hear what he was praying. Isn't that part of it? I mean, I'm no Full Metal Christian or anything, but isn't that part of it? Aren't you supposed to know what they're praying for you for? He went like this. He went. And like, move this. I'm like, what? I'm trying to like, what if this dude is mad that I didn't give him $20 for 2 loaves of banana bread, and now he's praying for my demise? And what if his whole game is legit? What if he really is a recovered drug addict who is using this to help other people? I'm telling you, God's probably going to rule against me on that one. God might go with whatever he was praying for. I don't know. And he wasn't there, so that was good. That was good that he wasn't there. Although I hope he wasn't there. Here's what I hope. I hope he wasn't there because he sold so much banana bread he could take Friday off. Certainly hope he wasn't arrested or anything like that. What else? Byron's, I'm sorry, I'm saying hi to everybody now. Rob is here. Good to see you. Adam is here. My boy Jimmy Smells is hanging out. We got Whitney Balls. There's got to be something I can do with balls. I love that. We got, who else? Kojak is here. KB is here. Let me make the chat room bigger so I can say hi to more people. So I don't like to miss the folks who just came in. Or miss the folks who've been in here for a while. We said Peter, we said Taronda. Where's Byron? Where's Byron at today? We got Leslie C. We got Barney. There's Barney. I always look for Barney. There's a couple people I look for. Few you girls. No Jen Hernandez today. No Smee yet. That's okay. They'll show up. Everybody get comfortable in the chat room. What else do I want to talk about? Jeez, do you guys here in Dallas? Can I just tell you, I'm doing a lot of talk about what we have planned here at Radio Misfits Dallas in the beautiful Dallas Design District. Live shows, different shows coming, new ideas, cool things, locally targeted. I want to do Dallas content. So I'm watching all the other people in the market. Some my friends, some people who I don't know, but maybe I've competed against or whatever. They're all professionals. They're all media professionals. And I got to tell you, have you guys been watching what the Dumb Zone is doing? The Dumb Zone. I don't know if you know who the Dumb Zone is. It's Dan and Jake from The Ticket. I think they used to be the Hang Zone, right? They were the Hang Zone on The Ticket. Very good show. Wow, one of the best casual conversation sports humor shows that there is. I love that show, The Hang Zone. Jake Kemp is terrific, and Dan is amazing and always has been. They're just talented guys, and they work so good together. So it's a fun listen. It's an easy listen. So they left The Ticket like a year ago, and they was kind of like a big FU to The Ticket. They're like, you know what? We really don't need you guys anymore. It was probably a situation where The Ticket lowballed them. They were still number one. They were still selling out. They were still making all kinds of money. So they didn't do anything wrong, yet they probably saw their contract offer be halved. And then the explanation from a dude who's got a yacht and a private jet that, well, the industry has constricted and we can't really pay talent what we used. So they probably heard that shit. And then the first thing they did was they walked. And it was like, people in the industry were like, oh my God, they are dead in the water. And I'm watching them going, I don't know where they're going to go. I mean, unless the fan here. But see, I was thinking traditionally, and that's not what they were thinking. They were thinking the way I'm thinking now. They were thinking, just own our signal. Be a local independent signal and create content. And over time, will become branded. This Hang Zone that they're doing, man, did you see they got an RV? They got an RV and they're out in Oxnard, California. They're doing nightly shows. They're just so grinding. And it's such good content. They had a conversation today. There's a clip that's going around on Twitter. I shared it. If you follow me at Pugs & Co. Pugs & Co. on Twitter, or just Pugs Moran, you can find me there too. Last night, after Cowboys practice, last night in Oxford, in the RV, it's Bob, or not Bob. It's Dan and Jake and Jeff Kavanaugh, formerly of the Freak, who's also out there covering the Cowboys. They're sitting in their RV and they're talking about Simone Biles, and they're talking about how small she is, and they're showing pictures of her and Shaq and all this stuff. And then somebody says, "What is the legal definition of a dwarf?" And it turns out that Simone Biles is under the legal definition of a dwarf. So they started to think, well, shouldn't she be in the Special Olympics? And do you think she'd win? Do you think? It was just the funniest conversation because it's true. If she could qualify as a dwarf. And then they got into, well, is this a way that maybe she can beat Michael Phelps in total medals? She can just go to the Special Olympics and start crushing and everything. Because apparently she's 4'9". In the definition of a dwarf is 4'11" and below, or 4'10" and below, something like that. I don't know, whatever. Those guys, man, if you're not checking them out, the Dumb Zone, if you're looking for something interesting and you want to support people who are just doing it despite what, the powers that be believe is possible, that's those guys. They also did something else. I left this out. Talk about burying the lead. They're also the show that challenged the non-competes and won. They are the reason that there are no more non-competes in this country, in media, anywhere, at any level, because of what Dan and Jake, who walked away from the ticket, did. So anybody who's tired of carrying water for the man, wants to be an independent creative on their own and reap the profits or fail on their own, owes those guys a debt of gratitude. Just terrific. Just terrific. So I've been inspired by them. They're posting so much great stuff out there in Oxnard, California. Okay, what do you say we get started? Let's start the show. Again, direct your attention. Please tip if you can. That would be great. Although it seems like everybody who does tip has tips. So let me see here. Wait, where's my show? Oh, there we go. Let's see where my. So I am looking for. Give me a second here, guys. While I take a bad sip. Did you hear how bad that is? That is the worst suction that there's ever been. All right, hold on. Still waiting for my phone to open up. I need to learn to do this before. There we go. Yay, we can start the show. Okay, we begin the show with a segment we call Antecedently on This Day. That is a look at all the events that have helped shape our understanding of what this day is. Let's get started. The Rant. The 9th day. It's the 9th day of August, year of our Lord, 2024. There's 222 days past, and that means 144 left. Antecedently, a look back at this day in history. It's really just previously on August the 9th. I don't know why I keep wanting to say April the 9th. I don't want to say April the 9th. I want football season to get here. So August the 9th is better than April the 9th. Antecedently, that's not going to work. There you go. Antecedently on this day in 1944, Nagasaki is devastated by the Fat Man bomb. We talked about Little Boy a couple of days ago when we commemorated the anniversary of Hiroshima. Today, they said, let's do it again. And Nagasaki happened. Let's see, how many people it killed? 28,200 Japanese war workers, 2,000 okay, just thousands. Antecedently on this day, more death. Boy, this is a day of death. Antecedently on this day in 1969, this was the day of the Tate LaBianco murders. Charles Manson, one of my favorite films of all time, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is Quentin Tarantino's revisionist history, fable, alt history, whatever you want to call it, of the events of this night. August the 9th, 1969. The Tate LaBianco murders are, Sharon Tate was an actress. She was a very popular actress. She was like ascending. She was the hot, young, sexy thing that people had. Whoa, she is going places. She was hooked up. I think they were married. She was hooked up to like the hottest director in Hollywood, Roman Polanski. And they were pregnant. She was pregnant. He was over in Europe shooting one of his films, and she was staying in a house that used to belong to a record producer, Terry Melcher, a house that used to belong to a record producer who had turned Charles Manson down. Charles Manson wanted to be a singer-songwriter, and he took his music because Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys ended up banging some Manson chick, and he's like, all right, I'll get your music to somebody. So Dennis Wilson hands the music to Terry Melcher, the Beach Boys producer, and Terry Melcher listens to it and goes, this dude's fucking nuts. I'm going to sign this guy. What the hell's wrong with you, Dennis Wilson? So Charles Manson had a little bit of a beef with Terry Melcher. Now, Terry Melcher moved out of this house. This is the house featured in the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the next door neighbors of Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Rick Dalton. So thinking that believing that it was Terry Melcher's house, Charles Manson set his goon squad over there to slaughter these people. And what he ended up doing is, instead of killing a Hollywood producer that he had beef with, he ended up killing just a random, delightful young actress. The Sydney Sweeney of her day. Slaughters her and her baby. Shocking, shocking killing. I mean, we're still talking about it. I still know it verse for verse. I've seen so many movies. I've read books. On this day in 1969, the Tate LaBianco murders. Followers of Charles Manson murder pregnant actress Sharon Tate. Coffee heiress Abigail Folger. Oh my God, Folgers. What's that? What's Folger's jingle? With Folgers in your cup. I don't know what comes before that though. All right, so is Sharon Tate, a coffee heiress, Polish actor Wojciech Frykowski. Pronounced it right. I've heard it said out loud. Wojciech Frykowski. He's a Polish actor. Apparently Roman Polanski liked him. He was there. Oh, and hairstylist Jay Sebring. Jay Sebring was famous also. He was famous. He did famous people hair. Famous Hollywood hair guy, Jay Sebring. And recent high school graduate Stephen Parent. Yeah, nobody cares about him. Yeah, it's the movie star and her baby, the coffee heiress, the fancy Hollywood Beverly Hills Rodeo Drive hairstylist, some French actor or some Polish, and then the high school student, that dude, Stephen Parent. That was on this day in 1969. On this day in 2012, Shannon Easton becomes the first woman to officiate an NFL game. I thought this was a Sheena Easton thing. And then I read, I'm like, Shanna Easton. No, Shannon Easton. Okay, so you want to know what progress is? Progress is, I remember this. I remember when the first chick was out there in a referee uniform, and I remember going, hey, check it out. There's a chick out there. And guess what? It's normal now, and I don't even think twice about it. That's called progress. And if it bothers you, you're a snowflake. On this day in 2014, Michael Brown, an 18-year-old African-American male in Ferguson, Missouri, is shot and killed by a Ferguson police officer after reportedly assaulting the officer and attempting to steal his weapon. This sparked unrest and protests in the city. Well, that's a pretty way of writing it. I'd say it's riots. The Ferguson riots is what I'd call those. Can two things be true at the same time? Never mind. I don't. You know what? Relitigating this. Not gonna do it. All right, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for antecedently on this day. Let's move into quarter two. We like to call this the birthdays. These are people who claim to be having a birthday on this day. I don't know for sure. Haven't called all their mothers. I mean, I tried doing that, but the small talk is just gruesome. All they want to do is talk about their famous child. Born on this day, 1944, the great Sam Elliott. Oh, Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott. How cool is he, right? We love Sam Elliott. Everybody loves Sam Elliott. Nobody's got a bad thing to say about Sam Elliott. Wait a second. Does he have political opinions? God, I hope he doesn't. I don't care. I don't care what Sam Elliott's political opinions are, because I separate the art from the artist. I don't give a shit. Whatever he is. I like him. He's cool. And I started to think we should do a Sam Elliott draft. And I started doing a Sam Elliott draft. And I'll have you know that Wade from Roadhouse is, of course, number one. Gar from Mask. Remember the biker that was banging Cher with the fucked up kid? Gar. Cher must have been really good. Think about that situation. Tragic. I have compassion for people. That is the Mask kid. That is asking a lot. And I would feel horrible about it. I'm saying I don't know that I'd have been able to date Cher if that was her kid. I think that here's what it is. I have too much compassion. I would feel sad all the time. I just couldn't. Anyway, Gar, the dude who starts dating Cher in Mask and befriends the Mask boy. He had like Elephant Man. Look, I don't feel bad. It's like, Pugs, yeah, you're offending people. I'm like, no, I'm not. There's like two people in history that look like that. The Elephant Man and the kid from Mask. And I'm betting they're both dead. I know one of them. I'm pretty kid from Mask dead. Did he die in the movie? Is that the point? I don't know. I was so distracted by what it must be like to have to just go to the 7-Eleven looking like that. Ugh. How terrible. How terrible. So I was going to do a Sam Elliott draft on his birthday, but, I started to do it. I got to those two, and then I went, no, you know what? You know what Sam Elliott deserves? Sam Elliott deserves to be a part of a mustache draft. That's right. We're going to do a mustache draft in honor of a man who can wear a mustache like few others. We'll find out how many others wear a mustache better than him when we get into the mustache draft. These are dudes with mustaches, ranked in order of their mustache prowess. Or is it prowess? Number one, first off the board. I got the first pick in the mustache draft, and I think you would be a fool to go with anyone but Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds. Number one in the mustache draft. Number two, look, you've got to appreciate tradition in history, and this was a time when this was kind of a bold move. Clark Gable. Second off the board in the mustache draft. Number three, we're going controversially. We're going Hitler. I mean, we're talking about dudes who owned the mustache, right? Nobody has worn a mustache like Hitler. Well, some people have. I mean, I almost just said where you might be able to find one, but I don't want to be political on this show. Point is this: Hitler killed that mustache. Chaplin made it a thing. There are a lot of people. Chaplin could be on this list if Hitler hadn't ruined that mustache. See, but Hitler gets it because nobody wears that mustache anymore, so that's important. Number three, on the mustache draft, we're going Hitler. Yeah, why not? The birthday boy, Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's going to come in just under Hitler. Why? Because Sam Elliott is sort of the heir apparent to Burt Reynolds, but there is one problem with that. Burt Reynolds was an A-list megastar. Sam Elliott isn't that. Sam Elliott is first in our hearts. We love him, but he's not. He's doing Paramount Plus TV shows, right? So we can't ascend him that high. But he is sort of the heir apparent right now. Like, he is the modern mustache guy. God forbid someone like Ryan Reynolds grow a mustache and become that guy for the next 20 years, because he'll take it because he's a bigger star. But Sam Elliott, number four in our mustache draft. I had difficulty with this one. This one went back and forth. But I ultimately came down on the side of global awareness of the mustache. And that's why Mike Ditka is not going to make the mustache list. Although in the sports world, there's Raleigh Fingers, Catfish Hunter, and Mike Ditka. I think those are the mustaches that I really think of. No, number five in the mustache draft, we're going to award the guy who made it popular only to have it killed off by Hitler, Charlie Chaplin. There you have it. A mustache draft on this, Sam Elliott's birthday. Number one, Burt Reynolds. Number two, Clark Gable. Number three, Hitler. Number four, Sam Elliott. Number five, Charlie Chaplin. Mustache draft. Yeah, Chuckles. Raleigh Fingers. Here's the problem, though. Like, I can say all the names that I just said with a fair amount of certainty that everyone can picture that person in my head. That's why Mike Ditka didn't make the list. I don't know that everybody knows who Charlie Chaplin is. I don't know that everybody knows who Raleigh Fingers is. Tom Selleck, very good choice, Jeff. Tom Selleck is certainly in the next wave, but it came down to mustache impact. And Burt Reynolds had mustache impact. And proof of his mustache impact is that Tom Selleck grew the same mustache. See what I'm saying? But certainly created his own mustache vibe and all of that stuff. Albert Einstein. I don't think of him as having a mustache, but I guess he does. Good one, Peter. I just read something that Adam said. All right, so that was fun. The mustache draft was fun. But now let me talk about something else related to Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott is important to me on his birthday because Sam Elliott is tangentially attached to the first time I made somebody that I respected laugh as a radio personality. And I'll tell you the story. So I was just a kid. I was like an intern or whatever. And we were working. This was the Kevin Matthews radio show in Chicago. And Kevin Matthews is very funny. And my thing was to make him laugh. If I could make him laugh, that was so validating for me because I thought he was the funniest person who ever lived. He's still alive, and he possibly is. So there's this famous guy in Chicago who was called at various points the Walking Man, Urban Bigfoot, or the Walking Dude. And he was just a man who would walk all over downtown Chicago for decades, starting in the 80s, I believe, all the way through the 90s and all the way through 2012 when a thing happened. Anyway, he was like a mascot for the city. And why does just a dude walking around the city all the time, why does that guy become a mascot? Because he looked, first of all, he looked like you'd think he's homeless, except he looked like a homeless dude who was not giving up on life. He wore a sport coat. He wore a collared shirt. He walked, they say, 15 miles a day on average, all over, up and down downtown Chicago. And here's the other thing about him. He looked exactly like Sam Elliott. He looked exactly like Sam Elliott. He did. And so this is how I made my boss laugh. And it's probably not going to be funny to you, but it was funny in the moment. It made him laugh. And I went, oh, wow, that was awesome. I made him laugh. Another producer on the show named Doc came in and he goes, hey, I just saw Urban Bigfoot because that's what we've been calling him. And Kevin goes, oh, yeah, that guy is everywhere. We should try and get him on the show. And I go, yeah, I call him Scam Elliott. That was just such a stupid joke. And they all laughed because this dude looked just like Sam Elliott. And at that point, it was, we were all thinking Sam Elliott from, Roadhouse or whatever it is. So I started to look for examples of the walking dude. And I was shocked this morning. I was hit by something that really bummed me out, man. So I found this news story. Scam Elliott, as I called him, Urban Bigfoot, the walking dude, whatever he was a curiosity in Chicago for decades. Everybody saw him. You'd have a good day. It was a good day. I'll tell you, my first wife and I, we had this little joke. We both worked in downtown Chicago. And we would say, how was your day? Or what did you do today? It was a big thing if either one of us could say, I saw the walking dude. I saw the walking dude. It was like fun. He made your day as a Chicagoan if you saw him. It was like, I saw him. I saw Urban Bigfoot. So here, about 6 years ago or so, there was a story. This was when I was back in Chicago. There was a story. He got beat up. He got mugged. He got mugged walking the streets that he has walked every day for decades. He got beat up and he was in the hospital and he was hurt. And we started to learn more about this dude. Turned out he wasn't homeless. He actually had an apartment. So he just looked homeless, but he looked like a rough, homeless Sam Elliott. Handsome, like handsome. I bet you that dude is handsome. He got beat up really bad. He was in the hospital. The whole city of Chicago held their breath. It became like a local thing, man. Walking dude is hurt. He recovers from that. He gets out. And that was the last I heard of him. I moved back to Dallas and I was like, just going through the motions, thinking walking dude is still out there walking somewhere. And then I come across this story this morning. I want you to see that. Also, how much he looks like Sam Elliott. All right, hold on. Here we go. Okay, give me a second here. Very sad story that I'm totally bummed out about. But here, you guys got to know who this guy is. He's awesome. There was a point where somebody was making a documentary about him and the YouTube clips were being put up there. Anyway, here's the story of the walking man, or as I called him, Scam Elliott.
The walking legend could occasionally be seen here along Michigan Avenue. Many heartfelt condolences are being shared on social media from people who spotted the walking legend and others who had a chance to talk with him. He's described as a nice guy who simply liked to walk. For decades, Joseph...
Okay, that's it. Okay, so you see him? That's the dude that would walk. Keep watching, though. You'll see. He looked just like Sam Elliott.
Cremelis would be spotted around town in his signature look, long hair, a mustache, and a blazer. He was affectionately known as Chicago's walking man.
And I think he was beloved because he didn't really bother anyone, and he had a good, recognizable look, and was just always walking.
Scott Marvel is founder of Give a Shirt, the organization that helped raise funds for Cremelis the first time he was severely beaten back in 2016, raising about...
All right, so that's what I was telling you about back in 2016 when he was beaten up and in the hospital and the whole city was like, hey, we know that dude.
$5,000 and handing it to him in person.
He told me he walked about 15 miles a day. Super nice guy, super normal guy. Just talking about how he liked the walk, and he had some compassion for the person that beat him.
In May of this year, the 75-year-old was...
All right, here we go. Here we go. This is what I did not know. This is what I am just learning with you for the first time. I lived through his beating the first time, and he got out of the hospital, and they were all very happy, and then I moved to Dallas, and I did not know that this happened.
Passion for the person that beat him.
In May of this year, the 75-year-old was sleeping on Lower Wacker Drive when he was doused with flammable liquid and set on fire. 27-year-old Joseph Wardia was charged with arson and attempted murder in the attack. In a statement, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office said, at this time, charges have not been upgraded in this case. Additional charges may be filed after the medical examiner's office and police department have completed their investigation. Marvel says this loss speaks to a bigger issue.
What do we do with people on the streets? You know, people that want to be housed, people in tents. What do we do? You know, how do we take care of these people? Because they're part of our community. They're our neighbors. Whether they have a house or not, they're our neighbors.
Since May, Marvel has raised more than $8,000 through his Walking Dude shirts, which he plans on handing over to Cremelis' family or an organization of their choosing.
If we need to print more shirts, we're here. We'll print as many as possible to properly bury and memorialize this great guy.
Overall, remembering a Chicago legend.
I think it's people like Joseph, the walking guy, the walking dude, that make the city interesting, you know, and I don't want that to be a race. Like, these are the people that add character to a place like Chicago.
The death has been classified a homicide by the medical examiner's office, adding he died from complications of thermal injuries. Now, the suspect in this case is due back in court on January 19th for a status hearing. Reporting from Michigan Avenue, Christine Flores, WGN News.
They set the walking man on fire, and they burned him to death. Jesus, man, I don't even know how to process that. That was news to me as of this morning. Good Lord. All right, I just broke my microphone. I didn't break it, but hold on a second. And we're back. All right, that's a nice little sorbet. Hey, happy birthday, Sam Elliott. All right, let's keep going with birthdays. Born on this day in 1963, Whitney Houston, everybody. Whitney Houston. Rob Barr, you know the walking dude. Rob Barr's a Chicagoan, yeah. I didn't know he died. How did you know he died? You're in San Francisco now. What are you getting, WGN News? I didn't know he died. Nobody told me. That was shocking to me this morning. All right, let's go. Whitney Houston is having a birthday today. Whitney Houston. Whoa, you know what? When I was thinking about Whitney Houston today this morning, I was like, I got two very different kind of thoughts about who she was as a girl, as a lady, as a friend, as a human. That is a complicated person there. And it made me start to think, is Whitney Houston the biggest female fall from grace of all time? So I thought, fall from grace draft. All right, I know it's rare that we do two drafts in one show, but we are going to do a fall from grace draft because Whitney Houston was someone who was presented to us as this absolutely darling, perfect little girl, no troubles, good girl. Taylor Swift. Do you remember her first album cover? She's wearing like a tennis sweater. She's smoking hot. Everybody else, Tiffany, she's like 15 dressing like a Las Vegas cocktail waitress. And then you got like, who was the other one? Who was the other? Debbie Gibson. She's kind of doing the Britney thing that would happen full force like 10 years later. She's kind of tantalized. So there's sex appeal in both of them. Not Whitney. Whitney was not being sexualized. She was gorgeous. And it was all about this voice, this person's voice. I thought Whitney Houston was a good girl. Turns out, not so much. Turns out that was all an image, that Whitney loved to party, Whitney loved to bang dudes, and she didn't discriminate. We now know this. Whitney was, it wasn't just Melissa Etheridge and K.D. Lang back in the early 90s, is what I'm saying. Whitney was, and I'm just saying. And then we know that she loved her crack. And she was, and apparently from a documentary I remember seeing like 10 years ago, remember Whitney and Bobby, some last ditch effort. They made some real intrusive reality show. And she just came off like a total awful bitch. And anyway, fall from grace draft. Let's see if Whitney Houston is the biggest female fall from grace. First and foremost, I got to say the number one fall from grace. And again, you might be thinking, well, it's not him, it's the other guy. There are two that are at the top. 1 and 2, you can argue, and I'd have a nice reasoned discussion with you about why I chose this guy as number 1. But number 2 could also be number 1. I will give you that. Number 1, the biggest fall from grace of all time is Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby. From one of the good ones in the 60s to America's dad in the 80s to rapist in the 2000s. That convicted prisoner serial rapist. Oh my God. Bill Cosby, number 1 in the fall from grace. Number 2, OJ, right? You knew OJ. Here's why. Here's why I went with Bill Cosby over OJ. Bill Cosby was global. Again, this is a situation where do more people know who Bill Cosby is or do more people know who OJ is? In America, I think it might be a push because OJ was very famous in America. But OJ wasn't global. Football isn't global. Bill Cosby was. Bill Cosby was known in Europe. He was known all over. Bill Cosby gets number 1. OJ gets number 2 in the fall from grace draft. With the third pick in the fall from grace draft, I will be selecting Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong. Now you might be saying, well, he's just a bike rider, though. You know, football is bigger. And I'm like, well, that's why OJ's ahead of him. But Lance Armstrong is so high because he is global. Lance Armstrong wasn't just somebody who was famous in America. He was famous all over Europe. Anywhere they take bike riding serious. Think of how famous he was here in America. We don't even take bike riding seriously. They take it seriously over in countries where that's what they do. He was global. Lance Armstrong, number 3 in the fall from grace list. This is where I slot Whitney. Number 4, Whitney Houston. Just because of how different I think of her now compared to how I thought of her when she was first introduced. Whitney Houston is, in fact, the highest ranking woman in the fall from grace ratings. Whitney Houston comes in at number 4. Number 5 is Rudy Giuliani. He had to make the list. And I know he's just American and all that kind of stuff. But anybody who goes from America's mayor on 9/11 to a dude in a Borat movie trying to have sex with like a 19-year-old Eastern European journalist, that is a fall from grace. So there you have it. Your fall from grace ranking, a draft. Cosby, number 1. OJ, number 2. Lance Armstrong, number 3. Whitney Houston, number 4. And Rudy Giuliani, number 5. Barney says Benedict Arnold and John Wilkes Booth are coming to camp. Absolutely. We'll give them some camp invites. Jimmy Smells says Richard Nixon. I don't know about that. Political guys, you don't really want to include political guys like that. I mean, I know I included Giuliani, but there's so much comedy in Giuliani's fall from grace. There's not much comedy in Nixon's. It's so I don't know. Okay, let's move on. There you go. Whitney Houston. This is born on this day in 1963. Born on this day in 1967, Deion Sanders. Had occasion to run into Deion Sanders a couple of times, not with any no significance there, just been at the same place where Dion was or in the same room, never interviewed him. I can tell from watching him, though, he's a jerk. He's a jerk. Carries him, on TV, it's all like, I'm the nicest. Come on, we're all friendly. No, in real life, like when waiting in line for shit. Saw him at the airport once. He was being very difficult. Very difficult. And that's it. That's how I make up my mind on whether or not somebody's cool or not. Deion Sanders does not seem cool. Born on this day in 1967. Born on this day in 1968, Gillian Anderson. Gillian Anderson got a weird thing with me. Back when we first learned who she was on the X-Files, I was just like, But then as she got older, I got more and more attracted to her. I think that boy, oh boy, she was great in The Crown. Did you guys catch her in The Crown playing Margaret Thatcher? Woo, Gillian Anderson can act, y'all. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1968. Born on this day in 1970, the great Thomas Lennon. Thomas Lennon, screenwriter. That's where he makes most of his money. He's living in a mansion off of that. You know him as Dangle from Reno 911. Thomas Lennon. He's a comedic actor, but trust me, his main source of income are scripts and writing films, and he's written a whole bunch of very big films. He gets back end on. And he's also an actor who is probably considered a D-lister. Nah, don't call him a D-lister. Thomas Lennon. I started rewatching Reno 911. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's you can watch the whole series on Paramount Plus, I think. So I'm watching Reno 911 after spending a couple hours watching raw body cam footage on YouTube with my son. And he had left the room and he came back in and Reno 911 was on. And I swear to God, like a full episode and maybe a half of another episode went by before my son looked up from his phone. I'm watching Reno 911. He looks up from his phone and he goes, wait, is this a joke? I'm like, what did you think you were watching? He goes, I don't know. I thought you were watching real cops. I'm like, no, this is a comedy show. So we watched it. And first sight, he loved Dangle. He thought Thomas Lennon was hysterical. So there you go. Happy birthday, Thomas Lennon. Born on this day, 1970. What else do we have here? Born on this day in 1983, Dan Levy. I like Dan Levy because I like his dad, Eugene Levy. I like the second generation of Second City TV people. Dan Levy, of course, was the spirit behind Schitt's Creek, where he cast his dad and his dad's old comedy partner, Catherine O'Hara, to great acclaim. I don't really know what Dan Levy been doing. I mean, I think he's writing stuff. I mean, he's certainly in demand. He's a hot commodity in Hollywood. I haven't seen him in any. He's probably doing stuff. I mean, I'm sure he's cashing checks, and as I said, hot in demand. Doing a lot of TV commercials with Heidi Gardner from Saturday Night Live. Right? Homes.com. Isn't that what he's doing? Flying around in a helicopter doing silly things. God, they probably paid him a freaking mint for that. Every time you see that commercial, he's probably making 10 grand. Think about that. Every time. That's okay. You know what I'm saying, right? I was being silly. Like every time you see a 10 grand, that means I'm seeing it. He's getting another 10 grand. That means every human being that sees it every time it airs. I don't know that that's true, but it's funny. He's probably making a mint, and that commercial is on all the time. Dan Levy, born on this day in 1983, Canadian actor and comedian. Do you know where he started? Interestingly enough, he started as an MTV Canada VJ. Don't kid yourself. He got that job because Eugene Levy's his dad. Eugene Levy is a god in Canada. And I'm sure when MTV Canada was casting and his son, Dan Levy, said, hey, Dad, can you make a call to somebody? Maybe so I done it. And that's what happened. But here's what I say about all of these things. Nepotism, family business, whatever you want to call it. You will be exposed if you can't do it. Okay? So I don't have a problem with Dan Levy. He is very good. He's very talented. I just don't like the ones that suck and they only got there because, their daddy's the chairman of the board or some bullshit like that. That's what I got a problem with. All right, let's move on here. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1985, the lovely Anna Kendrick. Who doesn't love Anna Kendrick? You know what Anna Kendrick is? And this is, all right, here we go. Pugs falling down the QAnon hole. I love my clone factory. Anna Kendrick is an Ellen Page clone. When the Anna Kendrick Ellen Page model rolled off the line and they had an instant hit with Juno, they were like, oh my God, we're going to get a lot of work from both of these Anna Kendrick Ellen Page models off the clone line. And then there was like something, well, dare I say, confused about the software in the Ellen Page model. So they brought her back in, and they redid her, and they introduced her as Adam. Is he Adam Page now? Whatever. They changed it, and then they brought Anna Kendrick in, and they upgraded her as well. And now we have Anna Kendrick, and she's great. But she is a variant of the Ellen Page from Juno, who then they had to go. They're like, wow, this one's a little fritzy. Let's see what we can do. And now Ellen Page is Eric Page. What? I don't know. What is his name? What? Seriously. Elliot, there you go. Oh, that's a dumb name. That is a dumb name. I'm sorry if your name is Elliot. Seriously? You know what that'd be like? That'd be like if I decided to transition to a woman, right? I'm like, I'm going to be a woman. And they're like, okay, what's your name? And I went, Madge. Or Bertha. I'm going to be Bertha now. I'm going to become a woman, and I'm going to choose Bertha as my one. She went with Elliot. Elliot's a dork. Elliot's not a cool name. Is it? I'm trying to think, cool is a last name. Sure, Sam Elliott proved that. Happy birthday to him. True baller. All right, anyway, there you have it. Born on this day, 1985, Anna Kendrick. Dead. Let's do the deads now. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. We take a look at famous people throughout history who passed away on this day. We decide if they went to heaven or hell. First, 1969, Sharon Tate. Putting her in heaven. I know. But Pug, she's an actress. And you always say that if you're an actress and we're debating whether or not you went to heaven or hell, with the absence of any other information, she goes to hell. And that is true. But we have other information with Sharon Tate. She was my mom. She was pregnant. It was just a horrible, senseless thing. You go to heaven if you go through that. And also, can I just say, Margot Robbie's performance as Sharon Tate in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, magical. It's just an absolutely magical performance. I don't know that the real Sharon Tate was anything like that, but whoever that was that Margot Robbie embodied to pretend to be Sharon Tate was she's watching a movie. She takes her shoes off. She's got her feet up. They're dirty on the bottom because she's just still like a dirty little hippie chick, even though she's a super rich Hollywood Hills movie star. I don't know. She's talking. She's talking to, like, we're following Margot Robbie's Sharon Tate. In the movie, we're following her around, and she has lunch in Hollywood, and she's walking, and she sees a movie. She sees a movie theater, and her movie's playing in there, and then she has to walk up, and she's like, "I'm in the movie. Can I see it for free?" And normally I'd be like, "Fuck you, pay like everybody else." But she did it so adorably. It's like, yeah, come on in. And she's seeing the movie. Anyway, Sharon Tate's going to heaven. You can't put her in hell. Dead on this day in 1995, Jerry Garcia. Hey, man. I don't know, because I think he probably heaven. Jerry Garcia goes to heaven. I'm not going to think it through. His namesake is an absolutely delicious ice cream, so we're gonna put him in heaven. Dead on this day in 2008, my old friend Bernie Mac, the great Bernie Mac. This one sucked. I remember exactly where I was when I heard Bernie Mac died. I was looking at apartments downtown. We were pulling into an area, a leasing area, a little area where you could park if you were interested in leasing. And I remember sitting there and just hearing it over the radio. I remember what station I was listening to. It was the Eagle. It was the person on the Eagle who said, "Man, we're getting some rough news. Beloved television performer Bernie Mac has apparently died." And I'm like, fuck, God damn it. I knew Bernie, and I've told these stories before. I knew Bernie. I had a mutual friend in my early days of radio in Chicago named Doc Simpson. Doc Simpson is no longer with us, but he was He was as close to a guardian angel for me in my early days, coming up through a meat grinder that was Chicago radio at the time. Doc was my guy. Doc always had my back. Doc used to promote all kinds of. He was a big radio personality, Doc, in Chicago, but he also promoted a whole bunch of like different events, rock concerts and stuff like that. It was like a side hustle. And one of the things that he was involved in was this comedy night, this black comedy night, Southside urban black comedy at the Cotton Club, which is on South Michigan Avenue. And the guy that hosted it was Bernie Mac, an known in Chicago. Dude, Bernie Mac, 20 years before you ever heard of Bernie Mac on TV or on that Steve Harvey tour, whatever it was that he did, 20 years before that, Bernie Mac was packing houses on the south side of Chicago, blues clubs, non-traditional comedy clubs, but there was a scene there. And I got to be a part of that to some extent because of my friendship with Doc. We would go and we would see these shows and we'd sit there and Bernie would sit with us and Bernie would tell us it was good because the idea was that we were there looking for people to come be a part of our radio show. We were a very popular radio show. We were always doing this. This is how I met Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. And Rachel Dratch. I always leave her out because we were up at the Second City and we were looking for talent to be a part of the show. And that's when all these people were sort of matriculating around the scene. Bernie Mac was an awesome, awesome dude, and I don't want to talk about him anymore. He's dead. He was a really, really nice guy, a really good guy, cool guy. Everybody liked him. Everybody in the scene was like, don't fuck with Bernie now. You didn't fuck with Bernie. Like, Bernie was a guy that, you tell it to you straight, but he was just a big, giant, lovely man. Bernie Mac. Dead on this day in 2008. I'm absolutely putting him in heaven. Dead on this day in 2015. Frank Gifford. Frank Gifford can go to hell. Frank Gifford. So many times we found ourselves in this position. Frank Gifford sucked. I hated Frank Gifford. Frank Gifford, my good friend, the Juice. OJ, how you seeing today's game? I hate Frank Gifford. He's in hell. Dead on this day in 2023. How about Robbie Robertson of the band? Love that guy. Robbie Robertson is in heaven. Touch the distance. Solo artist. Great Canadian musician. Robbie Robertson was cool. You ever seen The Last Waltz? Oh, Martin Scorsese. Greatest music documentary ever made, The Last Waltz. Scorsese chronicling the final performance of the band. And all the people, the luminaries, the stars of the age who came out of the woodwork just to step on stage and play with the band at this concert. It's an amazing, amazing music documentary. If you've never seen it, The Last Waltz with the band, directed by Martin Scorsese. Set the template for every rock documentary you'll ever see. Robbie Robertson, we're putting him in heaven. Pete says the original Kings of Comedy is a classic. Yeah, and that's another thing that I don't know if people understand. Like, Bernie Mac was sort of chosen on that to be on that with Steve Harvey and all that, because Bernie Mac Steve Harvey was a Chicago morning radio host. He worked at was it GCI? Steve Harvey? I don't know who he was. He was big, and then he blew up from there and went national. But that's how Steve Harvey knew Bernie Mac, from that scene in Chicago. And that's how he became an original King of Comedy. And here's the thing about Bernie Mac, and this is everybody would have told you in the scene. Steve Harvey was not a great comedian. Steve Harvey was a host who was like, I'll jump up on stage in front of all my fans and they'll laugh at my jokes even if they're not funny. Right? That's kind of the advantage that people like Steve Harvey had in the early days. Steve Harvey became a pretty good stand-up comedian, but Steve Harvey became a good stand-up comedian from watching Bernie Mac. The problem with Steve Harvey adding Bernie Mac and Unknown to that Kings of Comedy tour was exactly what happened. Bernie Mac blew them all off the stage. Bernie Mac was the one when that show ended and everybody went, Steve Harvey was what was his name? That guy. Fox saw it. Fox gave him a TV show right away. He was just a great guy, a great vibe. All right, there you go. That's going to do it, folks. We're going to get into the fourth quarter here of today's show. Once again, I'll remind you, if you want to help out, you can drop a little something. No tips today, doing this one for free. Drop a little something if you can in the tip jar. because this show is broke and it's no joke. All right, first things first. Not sure we're doing shows Monday. We might. I told you that the show is going to change just because of I need to use my time better. I need to. So I don't know. Follow, subscribe. I will be doing things intermittently, but as far as I don't know. We're looking at next week as being a big transition week. So maybe business as usual, who knows? But we are looking at next week as being transitional. So follow, like, subscribe, Radio Misfits in all of its forms, the Facebook page, the Twitter account. Also do that with my own stuff. Pugs Moran, like, follow, subscribe. All of that stuff, help out. I'll let you know. That's how you're going to find out. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, all that stuff as well. I'll be posting there. I say this because I got a text that might interrupt Monday's show. So I do not know. But okay. Anyway, that's that with that. Let's get in today's show. There's a lot of stuff that I want to get into. Hold on. Still battling this horrible, horrible straw here. I'm down to about 45% suction. That I just took a drag off my straw, and it was 55% air in 45% juice. Liquid, I should call it. All right, let's get started. Here we go. These are all of the events that are shaping today, the hot topics, the current events. First of all, we watched a little bit of the Trump press conference yesterday. Some things were pointed out that I didn't notice that now I noticed, and I'm like, oh, look at that. He ain't orange anymore. He's going away from the spray tan. Apparently, that landed. Apparently, calling him the orange guy and making fun of that landed to some degree because he's not doing that anymore. He came out looking normal. Came out not looking like an embalmed corpse in a morgue. Came out last night looking, or yesterday afternoon while we were doing the show, with sort of a normal hue, which people are commenting on. When you see it side by side, you see a picture of him or a frame from like just the day before. And then you see the one, you're like, oh, he got a new makeup person. He's switching it up. So that was cool. Good for him. Because that's weird. The orange thing is weird. It's just a weird thing, and nobody says anything about it. Just gonna accept it. Like that's a normal look. Okay. The other thing was there was some sort of announcement, at least on the side of Trump's campaign, a willingness to debate. Trump announced 3. I believe he said Fox News, ABC, and NBC. The first debate will occur on September the 10th. I don't know which one that is. I don't know if that's the ABC one. I think the ABC one was up next anyway. So maybe that's it. I don't know, though. We'll have to see. He did make some headlines, though, and I want to play some of this. I want to play this because I just think it needs to be called out. I just can't look away from it anymore. This is from the press conference. He took questions. People were like, I saw my boy Frankie yesterday in the chat room. He was like, well, at least Trump is taking questions and going off teleprompter. Frank was essentially saying that he found that admirable, to which I pointed out, no, you know why people go on teleprompter? Because getting your message across is important. Trump just goes up there. Yeah, he's off teleprompter, but he's rambling and he's going, I stream of consciousness every day. I'm doing it right now. You can't control. I would never go in front of a national TV audience trying to campaign for something without having my ideas prepared and laid out. Oh, that's a good thing about him. No, it's not. It's why we have moments like today where he's just, because of the shit he says, people, I think for the longest time, we just all just kind of went, okay, we just can't keep up with the nonsense that he says. The shit that he says with absolutely no verification, citing no sources. He's nuts. He just talks and talks and talks until he feels like he's won the conversation. So this kind of happened yesterday, and he got himself into some really stupid areas. Unnecessary areas. These are unnecessary. I'm not even going to speak to the validity of what he's saying. But let's just listen to this, shall we? These are own goals. These are what I talk about. You know, the Democrats, I used to say with Biden, they were just dick trippers. They just can't get out of their own way. They're just such loser fuck ups that they might even have something that is plausible, but they'll screw it up. That's dick tripping. Own goals are just unnecessary, opening an avalanche of unnecessary criticism for things that just didn't need to be said. And that's an example of what Trump did again yesterday. So here, let's watch a little bit of this. Here we go. Oh, no, you know what? No. Here we go. Let's listen.
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly. When you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed, nobody was killed on January 6th.
Okay, that's incorrect. Ashley Babbitt was killed, and there's a number of other deaths that are directly related to it that maybe not there in the streets or on the steps there of the Capitol, but he's wrong. One of his own was killed, and he can't even honor her because he's being as duplicitous as he always is. He's just free balling it off the top of his head. And I will say it again. That is not an attribute that I look for in the leader of the free world.
But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly, and they were there to complain, not through me. They were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I said peacefully and patriotically, which nobody wants to say, but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen, Maggie, I was at the mall. I was at the Washington Monument. I was at the whole thing. I had crowds. I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day.
What the fuck are we doing here? What is he talking about? This doesn't drive you insane? You don't see this, what he's doing here, as an example of how he should never, we shouldn't give him the fucking car keys. And you people want to give him global power. He is talking about the crowd size. Nobody cares but him. Why does he care? Because he's an out of control narcissist. And this is all that matters to him, that his crowd was big. It's such a fucking weird conversation.
And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relative.
Very hard to find a picture of that crowd. What is he suggesting there? What is the innuendo that there's? I'll tell you what it is. It's that they're trying to hide it from you. See, this is another thing that only I can give you the truth on, because you won't find it. You don't spot that manipulation immediately. He is endlessly trying to manipulate the listener, constantly, unnecessarily, unless you're a crazy power mad egomaniac, which is what he is. Then I guess it is necessary to make clear that you believe falsely that you have drawn the largest crowd in the history. That is just madness. That is just fucking weird.
Relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people, if not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington. And you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd. We actually had more people.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? What are you trying to do? Score points? Are you so the narcissist is up there just going, hey, not for nothing, but I'm better than Martin Luther King. People love me more. That fucking guy. Hey, black people vote for me. Hey, I'm better than King. That's why. He's so dumb. He's so absurd. He's so obviously a con man. Byron says, it doesn't drive normal people insane. Only the TDS sufferers are disturbed. Well, I would push back on that. I think it is exactly the normal people who can see it. I would turn the mirror on you, Byron, and go, "You're just not seeing it, son. I'm sorry. You're just not seeing it. You're just not seeing it. And if you do see it, then you just can't be trusted with any major decisions anymore because you think that, even though you see it, is all right to be in charge of everything. That's the problem. It's TDS. I love that. That's that right-wing Trump deranged syndrome thing, right? Isn't that what that is? Nah, man. It's a sadness. It's not a it's not him because I've never taken him seriously. He has always been a punchline. My entire life, Donald Trump was a buffoon. And I thought everybody else saw him that way too. And most people did. Till a bunch of dummies started thinking The Apprentice was a real show and that he was some kind of a business mastermind, which he decidedly is not. But hey, image, branding, narrative, he's a genius at that. He has changed the game. But yeah, no, it's just his naturally duplicitous nature, his constant need for self-aggrandizement, his fast and loose with the truth and with the facts, and his ability to Svengali people into believing the universe that he presents. And that's my problem with it. My problem is that other people don't see it. And actually, the good thing is that most people do see it. Most people do. That's the other thing he said. He said, I won that election. I never won. He has never won an election. He has never won. You know what he did? He won in 2016 in Electoral College, but he has never won a popular vote. More people in this country have never wanted him than didn't. He figured out a way. He figured out a way. 2016. Fuck that pantsuit lady. Although that is funny. I thought about this last night. So pantsuit lady, remember her, pantsuit lady? I can't even say her name. Pantsuit lady. She in 2016, she went off prompter and she referred to Trump voters or supporters as the most deplorable people. And of course, the Trump voters who are alphas, they all got so butthurt and snowflaked about it that she was forced, because she's a moron, because she comes from that part of the Democratic Liberal Party that thinks there's honor in falling on your sword. She apologized and spent the next 12 months backtracking from calling him deplorable. I did not mean that. I misspoke. What was her words? It was incredibly inartful of me. Okay, that's what she did. People saw that and went, you're full of shit. Stand by your words, man. If that's what you think of those people, they're not voting for you anyway. Why are you trying to make nice with them? That was that dummy. That was that pantsuit lady, what she was thinking. She won the popular vote, but unfortunately, she's not the first female president because she called them deplorable. How do you think she feels today watching Kamala Harris run a highly effective campaign fueled almost entirely by the narrative that they're weird? Pantsuit lady's got to be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I apologized, and now they're doubling down. Oh, my God. Doesn't matter. Here's what I'm excited about. We got to fight. We got a real election now, which we didn't have before. Before it was just, well, I guess he's going to stay out of jail. Not now, though. He's going to jail now. And that's what this is all about. He knows he's going to die in jail. That man is going to die in jail if he loses this election. He doesn't even want to be president again. That's a lot of hard work. He just wants to make sure that he doesn't go to jail. Like I tell my son, I don't talk politics with my son, but I say, I want you to remember in 20, 25 years, I want you to remember the adults in your universe and where they stood. And that's it. That's all we say about it. I'm telling you, man. History is not going to be kind to this era. Just ask the Germans. Just ask a 25-year-old German dude in 1940 Germany. Just ask if he'd like to have a do-over on some of the things that he was involved in. Yeah, same kind of thing. Well, didn't turn out. Obviously, that's what we're trying to avoid. Oh, now who's got Trump derangement syndrome? Yeah, maybe I do. Come on. Seriously, nobody's going to bite on that. I'm trying to troll Barney and Byron, are they biting? It's a troll, and he's saying, oh, it's a troll, and he is a master of it. Who else are my big Trump guys in the chat room? Is it just Barney and Byron who are like the most up in front and center? I don't know. Byron says he drives the correct people nuts. It's orgasmic. Yeah, but I'll tell you, man, does it bother you guys? And look, here's the thing. I know that Byron's not a snowflake. I know, and Barney as well. They can take it, and they're not pussies. But I think that they do complain about shit that they're not really upset about. They're just complaining about it because they feel like, this is part of my narrative and who I am as a person. But I don't know. I don't want to do a political show. I hate this shit. All right, let's keep going here. Anyway, Russia and Ukraine. You guys following this? This is I was paying attention to Israel and Lebanon, but then I got drawn away because apparently there's some very interesting stuff going on now just across the border in Ukraine. The Ukis, which is I'm calling them now, the Ukis are making serious inroads into Russia. They have taken over the entire Kursk region, which is a very big economic region inside Russia. The Russian army is on the run from the Kursk region. Here's a cool ass story. Listen to this. Okay, so this is how the Russian generals, and by the way, a lot of these generals there that are protecting the Kursk region, they are overseeing troops that aren't actually Russian troops. A lot of them are Chechenian, and a lot of them are holdovers from the old Wagner forces. Remember the Wagner forces? Prigozhin, he was going to go after Putin and then made a deal, and they were like, oh, Prigozhin and Putin are friends again. And then a month later, Prigozhin was dead in a plane crash. Okay, so his warriors are now all spread out around this region, and they're basically on the run. They're being pushed out of the Kursk region there by increasingly aggressive and effective Ukrainian forces. Now, here's how they found out about it. This is such a cool story and probably make a good movie. So, there were reports from the countryside, a bunch of goat farmers or whatever the hell. There were reports of military movement and something going on and inside the Kursk region, which was Russian territory. So the Russian generals were like, well, obviously, Ukraine isn't going to invade us. So it's probably just some scouts or some recon people for the Yukon army. And so they took a special forces team. And they said, all right, we're going to send you the special forces team. You go in there and you flush out these handful of Ukrainian, whatever they were. Scouts is what they thought. And so the special forces, the Russian special forces team goes out there and they go to look for them, and they found an entire amassed army getting ready to invade. Wasn't just some scouts. And of course, they were arrested and they were killed, and their bodies were found on the road. And that was how this whole thing started. The generals and the people there in the Kursk region of Russia are reportedly to have had 12 hours notice. They found the bodies. They went, oh my God, this is actually an invasion. And instead of, digging in and fighting, they all got the hell out of there on the run. There's also problems with the conscription soldiers are a big problem, but there's also a problem with the Russian infantry now. There is some belief that they aren't going to fight. They are not going to fight to defend their homeland for something that they don't think. The war in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, is not going well for the Russians at the moment. Anyway, good for the Ukis. I love a good underdog story. Rudy. Taylor Swift. Big news on her, remember? A bunch of her concerts there in Vienna got canceled over the last couple of days. She's on a world tour. It's the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, and she's supposed to be playing in Wembley Stadium this weekend, or is it next week? I think it might be next week. I don't know. The reason I bring it up is because a very dear friend of mine and fellow radio misfit Dallas, Lacey G, is going to the Wembley Stadium Taylor Swift shows. Lacey, in addition to being a member here of the Radio Misfits Dallas team, Lacey is the host of a very popular Taylor Swift podcast, 13. And so they're going over there. It's a successful podcast. So they do things like travel to London for Taylor Swift. There was some concern yesterday. Lacey was here after we finished the show and we were talking. There was some concern that she was, not going to be able to see Taylor in London, but that she was going to go anyway because the tickets were not refundable. And today was announced that the Wembley shows in London will go on. Now, there were some big concerns because the Taylor Swift situation in Vienna turned out to be fairly serious. There was a real conspiracy that was going on there, at least it looks like it, and the police seem to have foiled it just at the last moment. So you got to wonder, maybe take a break now just for a little bit, Taylor. Maybe there's something. So anyway, she's moving on to England, and there was concerns because of what's already happening in England with the anti-Muslim kids getting stabbed in Southport there, north of London. And the response to that being rioting from coast to coast. There was real good reason that maybe a gigantic Taylor Swift concert in the middle of downtown London shouldn't be, the thing that they do right now. So there was concern about a cancellation. But no, it is not going to be canceled. It is going to happen. So there you have it. What else do we have here? Is this the Hulk Hogan story? Hold on. Hulk Hogan. Let me find this story. That's Taylor Swift. Don't need that one. Hold on. Let me see what this is. I lost the story. Nope, that's the Taylor Swift story. Nope. Hold on. All right, so here's the story. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to do this from the top of my head. Good thing I read all these stories in the morning, right? Okay, so there was a movie being made about the Hulk Hogan sex tape. Hulk Hogan, remember the sex tape? Him, something to do with Bubba the Love Sponge and Bubba the Love Sponge wife. It's just something so creepy and weird. Anyway, Hulk Hogan, weird, creepy. No. So Hulk Hogan had this sex tape, and it got released, and it became public, and it published on Gawker. Gawker used to be a website, a celebrity kind of gossip website sort of thing. So it was published on Gawker, and Hulk Hogan sued Gawker. And now Hulk Hogan sued Gawker with the help of the billionaire Peter Thiel, who was angry at Gawker because Gawker was very critical of him and kind of made him a joke. And although there was nothing actionable for him to truly be able to go after Gawker for, he saw that if backed properly, Hulk Hogan could sue Gawker into oblivion. So Peter Thiel took his billions, put it behind Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan sued Gawker, and Gawker is no more. That story has been turned into a script, and it is in the possession of Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are going to be making this film, reportedly with director Gus Van Sant. This is a real movie, apparently. Gus Van Sant, Baffleck, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. And guess what? Guess who's playing Hulk Hogan? Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is going to play Hulk Hogan. Hey, you doubted him with Batman, and I'll tell you, he's a great Batman. I thought Affleck was a good ass Batman. I bet he's going to be an awesome Hulk Hogan. I just hope Matt Damon plays Bubba the Love Sponge. Anyway, that's a movie that I definitely need to see. Joe Rogan is trending because apparently he endorsed RFK Jr., except that he didn't. But don't let the media stop. He did not endorse RFK Jr. What he said was, RFK Jr. to me is the only logical choice. It's the only choice that makes sense. And then he talked again about how he thinks Kamala is going to win, or he thinks she could win, but doesn't mean what he wants. And Trump, he's not a Trump guy. Like, it goes all over the place, and I get it. Man. He doesn't want to, he should not. So RFK Jr. is the safe and weird Joe Rogan-esque conspiracy kind of guy that would be safe. That's the safe pick for him. That would be the safe pick for him because anyway, it's being pushed out there that Joe Rogan dumps Trump. That's not true. That is not true. I don't know if he's never a Trump guy. He's said that over and over again. A lot of his listeners may be, and that's fine. He doesn't seem to have a problem with that. He's never really a Biden guy either. But what he has said is RFK Jr. is the only one who makes sense. Always the showman, Joe. Yeah, he's the only one who makes sense. All right, what else do we have here? Jerry Jones is in the news. Jerry Jones, a little local story here. Jerry Jones made himself fodder for humiliation with another Jerry Jones-esque presser. Did you see this yesterday? Now, if you don't know what's happening here, Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones has three guys who are in need of a new contract on his team currently. Three guys who are certainly, they are all top 10 at their position group in the NFL. Two of them, I believe, are top 2, maybe top 3 at their position group. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of big, giant, meaty checks that Jerry Jones is going to have to write if he wants to keep Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. There are salary cap issues here because, you pay a middle linebacker who's never really played more than 5 games in a season too much. And now you got to you're paying your backup guard, $5 million. He's hurt. There are sinkholes of money in a football team that when you look at, well, they could pay all 3 of those guys the max and still have a whole bunch more left over. No, man. No, money goes. There's money. Every dime is. You got to have backups. You got to have quality backups. Sometimes you overpay. Oftentimes you overpay. So anyway, he's got a real cap issue here. He's got 3 superstars who essentially are going to be up for renewals around the same time. And how long is it viable to keep these 3 together? So Jerry Jones was asked at Cowboys camp yesterday about the status of CeeDee Lamb, who many might rate CeeDee Lamb as the most important. I do not. So here's what Jerry Jones said yesterday that's got the whole world in a tizzy, or at least the whole Cowboy Nation, I should say, in a tizzy. Here he is yesterday from Oxnard, Jerry Jones.
I went to high school. I went to college. I don't want to say it, but I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't have a sense of urgency about getting it done.
It's a long-standing tradition.
One more time.
I went to college. I don't want to say it, but I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't have a sense of urgency about getting it done.
All right, there you have it. That's Jerry Jones and why and how he lit Cowboy Nation on fire last night. What he's talking about there. He was asked what's going on with CeeDee Lamb's contract, and Jerry Jones said, I don't have any urgency to get it done, which drove everybody insane. It's that arrogance, that comfort, that businessman's, I don't care. He's playing poker. Of course he wants CeeDee Lamb back on this team, but he's a businessman. These guys are arch businessmen. I don't know that you can keep CeeDee Lamb. I really don't. Okay, so let me just, because I've thought about this and I've had this conversation with my 15-year-old son who is a diehard Cowboy fan. So here's how I look at the 3 guys. Micah Parsons is an edge rusher. He's an incredibly valuable. I put him at the 2nd, 3rd best edge rusher in the league right now. CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver. He's probably 2nd, 3rd, 4th on my list of wide receivers. I don't know. I'd have to look at it, but he's up there. Dak Prescott is your quarterback. Dak Prescott, he needs to get paid too. Dak Prescott is, in my opinion, a top 10 quarterback. All right, so I made my top 10 quarterbacks, okay? So let me give you my list. I got Mahomes at 1. I got Jackson at 2. I got Allen at 3. I got Herbert at 4. I got Burrow at 5. I got Dak at 6. I got Goff at 7. I got Hurts at 8. I got Purdy at 9. And yeah, I still got Rodgers at 10. Because even though he was hurt last year, the year before that with Green Bay, the last one before he went to the Jets, Aaron Rodgers still had it. So those are my quarterbacks. I got Dak Prescott at 6. So we talked about how I look at Micah and I look at CeeDee as top 3 guys at their position. But I got the 3rd guy. I got Dak Prescott at number 6. He's not a top 3 guy at his position. So why am I prioritizing Dak Prescott? Because quarterback is way more important. With all due respect to the incredible level of skill that CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons have at their chosen positions, it is just way easier to get yourself another Micah Parsons and another CeeDee Lamb in the draft or in free agency than it is to get another quarterback who, up until the last quarter of the Cowboys season last year, the last half of the final game of the Cowboys season. Up until that moment, Cowboy fans were screaming about how Dak Prescott should be MVP of the league. And you just want to deprioritize that? The quarterback position, the three most important positions on a football team are quarterback, wide receiver, and edge. Those are the big three. But it's not like they're equal. They are not. Quarterback is the most important. You can find yourself a Hall of Fame wide receiver in the third or fourth round. You can do the same with an edge rusher. Maybe you can do it with a quarterback, but it's way harder. It is way harder. You're going to tell me Tom Brady? I'm going to tell you that's an anomaly. You got to hold on to your quarterback. So I would hope that that's what the Cowboys are thinking. Dak Prescott, sign him. And you know what's going to happen? And this is going to make some of you Dak deniers nuts. Dak Prescott's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL. That's what's going to happen. He's going to be the all-time highest paid football player in the NFL, and that's what you're going to pay for, and you're going to get him for the next few years, and you're going to ride with them, and you're going to white-knuckle it, you're going to cross your fingers, and you're going to hope for the best, because you know why? Let me tell you, as a Chicago Bears fan, quarterbacks do not grow on trees. This ought to be a lesson to Cowboy fans who say that Dak should not be the priority. How many other teams in the league, let's say there are 10 teams. No, because I got them at 6. Say for 5 teams. 5 teams. If Dak Prescott was suddenly available, I bet there's 27 teams that would be interested to at least talk about him as their new starter. There's 5 that probably wouldn't be, right? Kansas City's not going to be interested. Buffalo's not going to be interested. Cincinnati's not going to be interested. But I'm telling you, I mean, the same can be said for both Micah Parsons. There isn't a team, and CeeDee Lamb. There's not a team in the league. There's not of the 32 teams that wouldn't be instantly better with the presence of those guys. But they're just easy. It's easier to acquire those kinds of position guys than it is a quarterback. So you can't keep them all. I think that the priorities need to be, and my son disagrees, but I think the priorities need to be Dak and CeeDee. You got to sign them. My God, you got to go Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison. You got to sign them. You got to make sure you got to let Micah go. You can't afford all 3. I'm sorry, you can't afford all 3 and then truly be competitive in this league. You're not going to be able to pay all 3 max contracts. You're not going to be able to pay because you're going to make CeeDee Lamb the highest paid wide receiver. You're going to make Dak Prescott the highest paid player in the league. You also think you're going to make Micah Parsons the highest paid because when he comes up, the contract that he signs, wherever it is going to make him the highest paid player at his position. What do I have? I got CeeDee Lamb at number 3. I just made a little list here this morning. So my best wide receivers in the NFL. I got Justin Jefferson at 1. I got Jamar at 2. I got CeeDee at 3. I got Devontae Adams at 4, and I got Tyreek Hill at 5. Those are my 5. And then with the edge, I got Micah at 2. I got Garrett. I got Garrett as number 1 with Cleveland. Then I got Micah. I got Nick Bosa. I got Hutch, and I got Crosby. Micah's the second best edge rusher right now, in my opinion, in the National Football League. And boy, oh boy, just think what you can get in a trade. just think about it. That's what the Cowboys ought to be thinking. Cowboys ought to be thinking that what do the Bears got next year? I'll tell you, if they want to deal with the Bears, I would give them our first next year, our first the year after that, and a third next year, and a third the year after that. For Micah, let's get it done. Let's get it done. Sweat and Micah coming off the end. That'll fix our tenuous pass rush issue. Anyway, there you go. And Cowboy fans are going nuts. They all hate Jerry. What else is new? But I'm telling you, man, you really don't want to be fielding a team this season or next season. When is it? It's is Dak in the last year of his deal? Where are we with this is Dak's 3rd contract, right? So this has got to be Dak's this is what we're waiting on would be Dak's third contract, because they signed him to an extension of the initial rookie contract, because they didn't let that go 4 years with the 5th-year option. I mean, they probably signed Dak after 2 or 3 years, and that was probably 4. So I don't know, whatever it is, he's going to be the highest paid player in the league. Jerry's going to pay it. He's not going to be able to go out and get another quarterback. Do you want an endless stream of Sam Darnolds and Mitch Trubisky's coming through here? Do you guys not remember the years here in town where we had Quincy Carter and we had Chad Hutchison? we looked at everybody before we found Romo. We went, who's that dude over there filling up the Gatorade jugs? Oh, that's Tony Romo. Does he play football? Yeah, he's actually a quarterback. We drafted him a couple of years back with our last pick. All right, kid, get in the game. Maybe in some cases, quarterbacks do grow on trees. All right, let's stay with some more local Texas stories, local North Texas stories. This is a really sad story, but this is highly avoidable. I don't know why on earth this would ever be a thing here at this time of year. The CrossFit Games are happening in Fort Worth. The CrossFit Games, I guess they wanted them to run at the same time as the Olympics. Okay. CrossFit is, crazy workout people, Ironman, CrossFit. I don't know. But anyway, the CrossFit Games, CrossFit is a workout system or something. I don't know, whatever. I mean, I know the name, I know it's a brand. I'm not sure what it is. Look at me. I'm a middle-aged fat guy. Excuse me for not knowing entirely what CrossFit is all about. But I do know that there are a bunch of athletes from all around the world who are participating in Fort Worth this week for what is known as the CrossFit Games. It's televised, and by that I mean it's on an app somewhere, but it's a thing. It is a big thing in that universe, in the CrossFit universe. It's a thing. So tragedy occurred yesterday in Fort Worth when a CrossFit athlete died while swimming. Let me see, I'll give you this story. Actually, no, why don't we just watch it? Yeah, why don't we watch the story? This is from WFAA because I have questions about it. Mostly, why are they holding the CrossFit Games in August in North Texas? Do they not know that it's 110 degrees outside, or is that just all part of it? You know what I mean? Is that just, no, this is how tough they are. All right, let's see what this is. Is there a story here? Yeah, all right, we'll do this. Here There we are. Okay. How do I make this big now? That's what she said. All right, let's watch. Why is there no sound?
Hit them on the first day of their international. Last few minutes, we learned what is going to happen next for the CrossFit Games after the tragedy hit them on the first day of their international competition.
Organizers sent us an email saying those games will continue tomorrow morning in Fort Worth at Dickies Arena.
All right, that is not the story that I wanted. We don't need that one. Let me show you the one that I wanted. I think it's this one. All right. This was the one from yesterday. The games are continuing, though. There was some talk yesterday about possibly the CrossFit Games being shut down because this one guy died. And I don't mean to be dismissive about that, but I was just taking the tone because this is what they were thinking. They're like, one guy died. Do you know how much money we have invested in this? Do you know how many deals with advertisers that they need to be seen during these events? We can't cancel everything because that'll cost us money. It's very sad that this person died. And when you think of it that way, I really think of it, well, okay, so someone died. That's a tragedy. But honestly, why would you combine that by stopping the games? Do you think other people are going to die? I mean, I would, because again, it's Fort Worth in August. So yeah, it's a little bit crazy. And it's made even worse when you know that until this year, this is the first year that it's in Fort Worth. Until this year, the CrossFit Games were held this same week, this time of year. The CrossFit Games were always held in Madison, Wisconsin. Do you know what Madison, Wisconsin is in August? Nirvana. It is absolute nirvana. I mean, they've got dragonflies that you can throw a saddle on and fly around on. They got big bugs in the woods up there. But it is absolutely beautiful. Evening temperatures at like 78 degrees, daytime highs of mid-80s. That's where you should be doing the CrossFit Games in August. But no, they moved it. They moved it this year, probably because it was financially advantageous. They moved it here to Texas, where people were competing outdoors in the CrossFit Games in absurdly warm temperatures. Let's watch this. Yeah, I'm going to skip that ad. Here we go.
CrossFit Games spectators and contestants, including Lazar Dukic's brother, left Marine Creek Lake heartbroken Thursday. Many of them saw up close what people watching on TV noticed near the race's conclusion. The ex-water polo player, just a few dozen feet from lifeguards on paddleboards and a few dozen yards from the shore, struggling.
Somebody actually jumped in, and the one lifeguard came over and talked to him and told him to get out of the water.
Okay. That dude just drowned right there on camera. We saw him struggling, and then he disappeared. He went underwater, and that's it. He was dead. And continue watching.
But he said, listen, somebody's drowning. She ended up going over to where he went under, but she just did a quick paddle around and then just paddled back out. I feel like at that point, she needed to blow a whistle and stop the event.
The event continued, and witnesses say the lifeguards on paddleboards, kayaks, and jet skis took little action. A Fort Worth Fire Department dive team found Dukic's body
gutted
about an hour later.
Really sad.
Don Fall is the CrossFit Games CEO. He would not detail the steps organizers took to protect athletes, but there was a plan in place for those lifeguards, he says.
All of the details around the process, the event, what unfolded today, that'll be a part of the details that we work through very closely with authorities. That'll be part of the information that's to come as part of the investigation.
This is the first time Fort Worth has hosted the CrossFit Games, which had been mostly in Madison, Wisconsin since 2017. It's 30 degrees cooler there Thursday.
Every time we plan for a new venue, we go through extensive planning. We were fully, versed in.
This CEO knew that it was going to be much more dangerous for the athletes here, but I'm sure that's a money thing. I'm sure that, Madison, Wisconsin wasn't paying the same rates anymore. And down here in Fort Worth, even though, so now the worst possible thing has happened. And we're watching this dude, this corporate guy, try and explain it.
And preparing for it, very confident in the event that we could plan and prepare. Precautions as relates to the heat around time of day that we went through, yes.
Dukic and about 80 other athletes completed a 3.5-mile run immediately before this roughly half-mile swim. Traditional triathlons start in the water.
I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could do that. I mean, as bad as I am, like a 3.5-mile run, okay, that would be. But then maybe could I float and like kick on my back? I don't know that I could do it fast, but I don't know that sounds, if I had to run 3.5 miles and then swim a half mile to save my life, I would bet on me living. I would bet, I'm not saying it wouldn't suck, but I would bet on me living.
So athletes aren't worn down until they reach the land. In Fort Worth, I'm Matt Houston.
All right. That's a terrible, terrible story. Don't know why I'm using the applause there. CrossFit Games will continue, however. Here, I want to show you this because this was trending. Her name was trending last night because this went out. This is Lara Trump. Have you guys seen this? This is going to be another "these people are so weird" moment, so I'm sorry. But this is Lara Trump. She is on television. She is talking about how Kamala Harris is not qualified for senators, law school, whatever. Okay, not qualified. She's talking about how she's not qualified and that it's insulting to women everywhere that she has been given this free ride. This is Lara Trump. This is Lara Trump, who is now inscrutably the leader of the Republican Party with having zero contact or any. She's not a pollster. She wasn't a strategist. She didn't work on a bunch of big campaigns. No, she's married to Eric Trump, which, is apparently all it takes. So here she is. This is these people. This is projection at its finest. Projection. What she is accusing Kamala Harris of is exactly what everybody knows to be true about her. That's what projection is. I know inside that this is me, but I'm going to say it out there about them because then people won't be looking at me and thinking it. Well, that's not how smart people process this stuff, sweet cheeks. Listen to what this woman said.
Based on how she looked, based on the fact that this is a woman, based on the fact that she was a minority. Let's be honest, she has failed upward her entire career.
Says a woman who has found herself as the leader of the Republican Party with absolutely no resume to speak of. You know what she was? She was an production assistant at Inside Edition for 3 years before she married Eric Trump. And that's it. That's her career. And she is now the leader of the grand old party. She is the GOP chairman. And she is on television telling you that Kamala Harris is a fraud because she didn't earn the position that she's got. Now, remembering that she has won elections where people chose her. She is a senator. She's an attorney. All of these things, a vice president for 4 years, all of these things. But Lara Trump, who worked for 3 years fetching coffee for Deborah Norville on Inside Edition, is qualified to run the Republican Party. This is projection, and it is shameless. It is shameless because they don't fucking care that they're fooling you because you are the peasants. You are the dirty people that they don't want to hang out with, but will certainly patronize in order to get your votes. That's what shamelessness is. And that's what she's doing.
Somehow we know why Joe Biden chose her to be vice president with him. He said, these aren't my words, these are his. We want to choose someone not based on merit, not based on their skill set, not based on the fact that they might be the best person for the job of vice president, based on how she looked, based on the fact that this is a woman, based on the fact that she was a minority woman. That's really gross as far as I'm concerned.
It's really gross as far as she's concerned. Again, the daughter-in-law of Donald Trump, who has suddenly found herself, again, inscrutably in charge of the entire Republican Party. She finds that gross.
I'm a woman. Do me a favor. Don't ever give me a position based on the fact that I'm a woman. Either I earned it or I didn't. And that's it. That's all I need.
With a straight fucking face. She just said that. With a straight face. Shamelessness. They don't care. Why are they so comfortable lying to us? Because they don't give a fuck about us. They're just putting it out there. They know that dummies will hear it and just believe whatever they say because it's the marketing rule of 200. If you tell something to 200 people, okay, 50 are going to believe it and pass it on. And that 50 will tell another 200 people. This is what happens. It's called the rule of 200. It was something that you learn about, especially in radio. If you do something on a radio show that really impresses a listener, they will go into their work, and over the course of that day, because of them, they will let at least 200 people know of your existence. That's the rule of 200. Hey, did you hear that thing on the radio? Maybe 5 people are hearing that in cubicles, not just the person you're talking to. So see what I mean? That's the rule of 200. She doesn't care about the shame because she doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about our judgment of her. She's just out there like a fucking shark with no shame, projecting nonsense about Kamala Harris, completely forgetting that this is how she got her job. This is why she's on TV talking, because other people who were probably far more who were absolutely a billion times more skilled and accredited to do the job that she's doing now got passed over because she's sleeping with Eric Trump.
Let's be honest. She has failed upward her entire career. Somehow we know why Joe Biden chose her to be vice president with him. He said, these aren't my words, these are his. We want to choose someone not based on merit, not based on their skill set, not based on the fact that they might be the best person for the job of vice president, based on how she looked, based on the fact that this is a woman, based on the fact that she was a minority woman. That's really gross as far as.
It's gross. That's really gross. As a woman, don't ever give me anything based on the fact that I'm a woman. That's really gross. That is absolutely insane. Peter says she looks like a Stepford wife, Hollywood Republican clone. I don't know if there's a Republican look there. She's hot as hell. She is hot. The Trump ladies are all hot. Sarah Sanders, right? She was like the lone exception. All the hot. Well, Trump doesn't allow himself to be around Uggs. You can't be ugly and close to Trump. If you're a woman, you gotta be someone that you can go, I'd do that. That's pretty much the criteria. I'd hit that. If not, get out of his orbit. You don't need to be there. Breakdancing. Let's talk about the Olympics. Breakdancing is starting. I've been waiting for this. The very tail end of the Olympics. They're going to do breakdancing. Breakdancing starts this weekend. So there you go. You can watch breakdancing. It's called breaking. It's not breakdancing. It's called breaking. And this is the first Olympics, I believe, that the breaking is going to be in. The favorite is some dude from Brooklyn. Really? Is he also from 1986? Is that how they're going to introduce him? From Team USA, hailing from Brooklyn in the year 1986, it's Scuba DJ Bellewop, or whatever. It's Boogaloo Shark. Boogaloo Shark wins gold. He's from 1986. All right, so I'm very excited about that. I'm going to be watching that. All right, let's do a medal count. See what's happening with the medal. Where are we at with the medals? Why can't I get a good medal? Son of a... Follow link. That's what I want to do. I want to follow that link. Oh, my phone is acting wiggy. That's very weird. All right, it doesn't matter. We can do a medal count over here. Let's see where we are. This has been a back and forth battle. We're down to the final, 3 days? Closing ceremonies are on Sunday. We're down to the final 3 days here of the Olympics. America is certainly going to run away with the total medal count. So we will be able to go and tell the whole world, we are better than everyone else at being second and third. We're going to have that. We're going to be able to do that. But will we be able to go around and tell people that we are number one in the gold medals? We've been going back and forth. No, we haven't. It's been dominated from day one by the Chinese. The Chinese have been in first place in the medal count this entire time until a couple of days ago. Now, I predicted at the start of these Olympics that the United States was probably going to win in total medals and in golds. And I also predicted that although the Chinese were probably going to put some distance between themselves and the U.S. in the first week, it was the second week when track and field would start that we would begin to just rack them up. And we did. We closed the gap. Now, total medals. Let's talk about that. Total medals. United States is in first place. We've got 108 total medals. China, People's Republic of China, second place. They've got 78 total medals. There's a tie at third between France and Great Britain, both with 56 total medals. Oh, my God. Oh, isn't this the most France and Great Britain thing ever? France and Great Britain are absolutely locked in third place. Both France and Great Britain have 56 total medals. Both France and Great Britain have 22 bronze medals. Both France and Great Britain have 20 silver medals, and both France and Great Britain have 14 gold medals. Look at that. So here's where we are with gold medals now. Yesterday, United States, we passed briefly. We were in first. We were in first yesterday when we did the show. We were in first in the morning yesterday when I put the list together. And then when we checked it again during the show, we were in first place again. So we were leading in total medals and in gold medals. Unfortunately, People's Republic of China, they're now in first place in the gold medal chase. They have 32 gold medals to the United States paltry 31. That's okay, because Boogaloo Shark from 1986 Brooklyn, he's going to win us some breakdancing medals, so we can look forward to that. Good times. All right, what else do we have here? There's a whole bunch of stuff here. I don't want to really just skip over anything, but I do have to be rolling on. Love to wait for... Nah, I can't do that. Get any tips? No tips today. I did this one for free. This one's on me, guys. There you go. Middle count. You want to talk about the Haktua girl? We'll talk a little bit about a Haktua girl, Haley Welch. Yeah, we're starting to know her name. I know her name anyway. Haley Welch. Apparently her star is fading. Apparently she's on her way to Oliver Anthony country. When the star begins to fade, it happens fast. She did a introduction at the Rock of the South Music Festival somewhere down there. I'm guessing it's in the southern United States. And apparently she was met with a smattering of boos and overall indifference as the Haktua girl got on stage and went, "Are y'all ready to listen to music?" Look, I don't hate the Haktua girl. This was a part of the cycle. We knew this going in. We were going to discover her from nowhere, champion her for a few days. She would then, if she was smart, take advantage of this moment in time, this lightning in a bottle, and she would sign with somebody who would do her on a grand scale. It's how we've seen her doing podcasts with Bill Maher. She's doing Club Rent. She's been everywhere. And this is because there's now a machine that is like, you're hot right now. You really need to capitalize on every single penny that you could make from this, and we're the people to do it. And they have. I can see some people, why would she do that? Why wouldn't you just do it on her own? Oh, shut up, stupid. Shut up. Why would she just give like 20% of her earnings away? Because without them, she would have 0% earnings. Because without them, she'd be signing Haktua hats at card shows. Instead, she's got the William Morris agency behind her, and she's doing walk-ons on the Jimmy Fallon show. Okay, that's why you give them 20%, because you know they are going to earn more than that 20% in value. That's why people pay agents. That's why agents make money. Because it's true. Anyway, people are turning on her. I kind of feel bad for her. I mean, I'm just like, okay. And I hope that she has that attitude that like, this lasted a whole 6 weeks. All right. I guess it's time for me to fill out my class schedule, because she's just a college kid. She's just going to go back to college with a whole bunch of money. She's going to make some money. I'd like to think of her making a couple million out of this. I think that's possible. I'll tell you what I said. This is what I would do if I was her. And of course, this is just me, but I don't know what she's about. Here's what she is. She's attractive. She's very cute. She's attractive. She's got a big personality, and she seems to be witty. She seems to be very witty. I've seen enough of her to know that she is not a shrieking violet in a conversation, that if she sees something, she goes for it and she'll say it. Hell, the whole Haktua thing was funny. She was just asked a cold question, and her response was, well, worth a couple $1 million. So say what you will, but the facts speak for themselves. Here's what I would do if I were her. I'd take a whole bunch of that movie money. What is she, 20, 21, something like that? It's like 2021. I would take a bunch of that money. I would move to Chicago, because I'm the Haktua girl, and I would enroll at the Second City. The Second City is a comedy, improv, comic actor training facility. It's like Harvard for funny people, if you will. She's got enough money. She can get a nice place there. She can take these courses. And I'm telling you, in 2 years, Saturday Night Live will be introducing the Haktua girl. People already know her. She's got an advantage. All she's got to do is learn how to now turn what her Q rating is. Q rating is how people see you, how people view you. It's a term in the entertainment business. If someone has a high Q rating, then that's somebody that advertisers are going to want to spend money on. Right now, her Q rating is pretty high. Everybody knows who Haktua girl is. So in a couple of years, the new cast of Saturday Night Live, and Haley Welch, and everyone in America will go, that's the Haktua girl. Do you remember her? Yeah, she's on Saturday Night Live now. That's what I would do if I were her. Because she seems to have natural ability. She seems to have a natural. Now let's get that honed. You've got natural ability to be funny, and you're well known. Okay, so now what are you missing? Training and talent. Okay, so let's see if we can't get that. And then boom, you've got a career as stemming from the Haktua girl. That would be my advice. What else do we have here? Oh, speaking of Saturday Night Live, Jeff Ballard showed this to me yesterday. I mean, I would have seen it, and I would have played it anyway today, but apparently it was released yesterday. Are you guys aware of this Saturday Night Live movie? Now, I'm a Saturday Night Live expert. At least I like to say that. And I use it in bars to get in girls' pants, and it doesn't work. Nor should it. Shouldn't work. But I've seen every episode of Saturday Night Live ever produced. Challenge me on it. This is not the time or the place, but I can back it up. I've seen every episode of Saturday Night Live ever produced. I think that for my lifetime, it is the quintessential time capsule of Americana. That's what it has become. So it's not funny anymore. Shut up. It's iconic. It is iconic, and it is a part of America. And you know what? Shut up. So anyway, they're making a movie. Did you see this? Jason Reitman. Oh my God. So excited that this is Jason, son of Ivan Reitman, of course. Jason Reitman, a terrific filmmaker in his own right. Up in the Air, right? So good. What else did he do? He did a bunch of things. Did he do Juno? I don't know. Maybe. No, no. Well, yeah. Did he direct Juno? Because it was Dakota. It was the chick. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Jason Reitman is the director of the Saturday Night Live movie, and its trailer has been released. This is a movie about Saturday Night Live, the original cast, and I guess it seems like it takes place on opening night. That it is, I don't know. Let's take a look at it. This is the trailer, the very first trailer of the Saturday Night Live movie called Saturday Night. Reitman is the director, so it's got pedigree, right? All right, so let's check this out. Here we go. I'm telling you, I'll be there.
Hey, free comedy show, plenty of seats, plenty of tickets left, guys. Free show. Fuck's sake.
So, big night.
Look, my name is Lorne Michaels. I'm the producer of Saturday Night.
The whole night?
Yeah, the whole night.
Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, Dan Iyek, how the fuck do you pronounce this?
Ackroyd. You know, I was thinking, why don't we punt? We should run the dress rehearsal and claw back a win next Saturday.
We can't, Dick. It's a live show.
We're just not ready.
Doesn't matter that we're ready. It matters that it's 11:30. That's when we go on.
Lauren, all I'm trying to do is give you advice. It's in everyone's best interest, mainly yours.
Sorry, was that a threat?
Look around, Lauren. You haven't locked the script. Your crew is in open rebellion.
Fuck you! Fuck you! I definitely fuck you.
The writers on the 17th floor tied a belt around Big Bird's neck and hung him from my dressing room door.
So tell me how you fit into this ensemble.
Oh, is this an ensemble?
NBC makes more money playing reruns of The Tonight Show.
NBC is lucky to have something as relevant as this show.
Lauren, they don't even want it.
That's logical, Dick. That's why they're paying us all to be here.
I mean, Lauren, 90 minutes of live television by a group of 20-year-olds who've never made anything. Do you ever stop and wonder why they said yes? A counterculture show starring total unknowns with zero narrative and even less structure. They want you to fail.
We just have to make it to air.
Am I still in the show?
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, tripped over my penis.
All right. As far as trailers that go directly at my interest zone, that is a home run, boy. That just looks so incredibly interesting to me. The story of the very first night of Saturday Night Live. Let me look for something here real quick. Hold on. Okay. See something. Okay. I want to look at the cast on that because we didn't really go over who is in this. Lorne Michaels is played by somebody named Gabriel Lebel. Rosie Schuster, who's one of the big... This is a cool cast. I'll tell you why it's a cool cast. Because all the names of the actors are highlighted with a link, and so is the names of the characters they're playing are highlighted with a link because, you know, they're real people. Gabriel Lebel is playing Lorne Michaels. Rachel Sennott. I don't know who Rachel Sennott is. Do I know her from anything? Comedian, screenwriter, Tisch School, blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't know who she is. She looks honestly, very cute. She's playing Rosie Schuster. Corey Michael Smith is playing Chevy Chase. Okay, I don't know who he is. Okay, so here you go. If you watched Gotham, the TV show Gotham, right? He played the Riddler. Edward Nygma. Edward Nygma, the Riddler in Gotham. That's where I remember him from. All right, so he's Chevy Chase. Someone named Ella Hunt is playing Gilda Radner. She's an English actress. What was she in? I don't know. Okay, whatever. I don't know. An unknown. Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd. What do we know him from? Teen Wolf. There you go. Emily Farn as Lorraine Newman. Why didn't they get Hannah Einbinder? Why wouldn't you cast Lorraine Newman's actual daughter to play her? If you Hannah Einbinder is what is the Gene Smart show on HBO? Hack. There it is. She's the star of Hack. It's Gene Smart and Hannah Einbinder. Hannah Einbinder is the young alt comedy female writer who is writing for this old Joan Rivers stuff. Why didn't they get her? That's a no-brainer. I mean, when they did the NWA movie, they knew to get one of their kids. That's a real miss. All right, let's see here. John Belushi is played by a guy named Matt Wood. Matt Wood does not even have a link. He's had nothing else, no other credits. Because you got to do that with Belushi because he was bigger than life. Guy named Lamorne Morris is playing Garrett Morris. Look at that. Kim Matula is playing Jane Curtin. Who's Kim Matula? She's hot. Ooh, she is hot. Boy, oh boy. Jane Curtin was not hot. Well, Jane Curtin was kind of hot. But Kim Matula, who's playing Jane Curtin, very hot. Finn Wolfhard. That's not a real name. I don't know who that is. He's playing NBC Page. Nicholas Brown. Okay, Nicholas Brown. Get out of here! Greg, cousin Greg from Succession. That's who this is. Nicholas Brown, cousin Greg from Suspect. Oh my God, do I love cousin Greg. Cousin Greg is playing two roles in this movie. Cousin Greg, Nicholas Braun, is playing both Andy Kaufman in the Saturday Night movie and Jim Henson. And we saw in the trailer a little bit of Jim Henson where he's like, they hung Big Bird from the... That's crazy cool. Cool casting. Cooper Hoffman as Dick Ebersol. I love that. Cooper Hoffman, of course, the son of not Dustin Hoffman, Hoffman. Who's that guy? Philip Seymour. That's right, Cooper Hoffman, the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman. They couldn't get Lorraine Newman's daughter, who would have been perfect for her. Couldn't get her, but they got some dude who's not even related to Saturday Night Live's history, and they got his son. He's playing Dick Ebersol. Cooper Hoffman as Dick Ebersol. Kaya Gerber as Jacqueline Carlin. That is, I think that's George Carlin's wife, his first wife, Jacqueline Carlin. Kaya Gerber is Cindy Crawford's daughter. they got famous kids in this movie, just not the one they should have had. Andrew Barth-Feldman plays someone named Neil Levy. Michael O'Donoghue, one of the great dark influences on Saturday Night Live's writing room. He's being played by a guy named Thomas Dewey, who I don't know where he's from. He was the star of a Hulu series called Casual. Willem Dafoe is playing NBC executive David Tebbutt. That's who the old man was. And as Adam pointed this out, this is really cool stunt casting too. You got Matthew Rhys playing George Carlin. Perry Mason, I think you know him as Perry Mason. Isn't that his most recent thing? I love Matthew Rhys from The Americans. One of the great shows that goes under the radar. The Americans on FS. If you have Hulu, Matthew Rhys, oh my God, The Americans. Philip Jennings. All right, what else do we have here on this cast? The Saturday Night Live movie. Taylor Gray. I don't know who Taylor Gray is. Taylor Gray don't know anything. Taylor Gray is playing Al Franken. There you go. McCabe Gregg is playing Tom Davis. Nicholas Podany is playing Billy Crystal. A lot of interesting portrayals here. John Baptiste. You know the dude from, is he Jimmy Fallon's or Stephen Colbert's guy? Stephen Colbert's music guy, his Doc Severinsen, if you will, if you're old, his Paul Schaefer, if you're younger than that. John Baptiste is in this film. He's playing Billy Preston, who was the musical guest on the first night. Let's see here. Who else do we have? Anybody else playing anybody interesting? Wait a second. Joan Carbuncle? Hold on. Oh, no. This cannot be. Hold on. Oh, it doesn't say. It kind of looks like it could be. Okay, so Catherine Curtin is playing Joan Carbuncle. I don't even know who that is. Catherine Curtin. Is Catherine Curtin Jane Curtin's daughter? Because they've already got somebody else playing Jane Curtin. See, again, another situation where both Jane Curtin and possibly Jane Curtin, but definitely Lorraine Newman, they had daughters capable of playing them. My God, Hannah Einbinder would be awesome as Lorraine Newman. She looks like her. She just, looks more modern. She looks like a modern Jane or Lorraine Newman. All right, anyway, that's going to do it. I love that. I'm very excited. That movie looks good. Other fun news about things that are coming out. They are making, I had this story earlier in the week, but I don't know why I kept jumping over it. We just got, there is a documentary coming out. Let's see if I can find this. Here it is. Man, whatever that is. All right. I can't find it. Anyway, there's a big documentary that's going to be released next month about Mitch Hedberg. Old friend of the show, the Pugs and Kelly show, Mitch Hedberg. So that's interesting as well. Be looking for the Mitch Hedberg documentary. Adam says The Americans is one of the top 5 dramas of all time. Nah, I'm not gonna knife fight you over this. I mean, it's possibly top 10. I mean, I love The Americans. That is such a great show. But there's so many great shows that I feel more like I'll give you an example. Succession. I feel far more passionately about Succession, and that's a more recent show than The Americans. So wherever The Americans were on my list after the conclusion of Succession, The Americans have been bumped down a little because Succession has moved up. The Americans is such a great show. There's nothing negative. It's so clever. It's so smart. If you're unfamiliar with The Americans on FX, it's the story of the Jennings family. They live in suburban Washington, D.C. They run a travel agency, which is good cover for their international travel. They're normal, everyday American families in 84? I think it's set in like the mid-'80s. 1980s America, Cold War America, the Jennings right there in suburban Washington, D.C. They're Russian spies. They are Soviet spies living amongst us. It is such a good show. It is so good. Because here's the thing. They are Russian spies. They are spying for communism, but they are living in America and totally enjoying capitalism. They're enjoying, blue jeans and McDonald's and and they don't talk like this. They're Americans. They're blending in as Americans. You would think it's the whole point of the show. You would think that they are Americans. It is such a good show. It is. I love the Cold War stuff. And so I love all the espionage and all that stuff. They live across the street. The Jennings live across the street. They got new neighbors. They live across the street from some FBI guy. And they become friends. They become friends with the FBI guy, and the FBI guy doesn't know that he's become friends with his neighbors who are like Soviet spies. So good, The Americans. You can get it on Hulu, I'm sure, because Hulu's got all the FX shows. I'm currently in the middle of a rewatch of The Americans. I started it a couple of months ago. I haven't watched in a couple of months because I take a break and then I go back. But I think I'm somewhere in season 4. I'm at the part, where I'm at, Adam? Okay, now I'm only talking to Adam. I'm at the part in Americans where Matthew Rhys, who we're talking about, we're in the part of The Americans where Matthew Rhys is not pretending. He's actually dating the daughter of the colonel who works for the CIA in order to get inside the house. He's a grown-ass man 40, and this girl that he's dating is 17, and he's going to high school parties and showing up in a Corvette. It's part of the spy game. Oh, it's crazy. And here's the fun fact. That girl that girl from all those years ago in The Americans that I didn't even realize until I rewatched is that girl I like. You guys are like, well, that doesn't help us, Pugs. Who's that girl you like? Can't think of her name. Gardner. It's not Jennifer Gardner. Might not even be Gardner. It's Ruth from Ozark. I can give you that. If you remember, Ozark, it's Ruth. That the awesome chick from Ozark who nobody ever saw before. And then suddenly they're like, oh my God, that girl's great. And then she goes and she does a bunch of like other things. And people are like, hey, you think maybe that girl's a really great actress? Yeah, Ruth is great. Ruth started on The Americans. And I'm like, that's Ruth. What's her name? Something Gardner, something like that. Adam talking good shows. He's talking TV shows. For him, it's Better Call Saul, The Wire, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and The Americans. That's a fucking great list. I always feel that Better Call Saul is a little overrated. It's a great show. And I think it may be better than Breaking Bad. And if you put those two statements together, you could probably come to the conclusion that I think Breaking Bad is overrated. I do. I think Breaking Bad is really overrated. But it's still great. I don't think Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I don't think you can say it's a guarantee that both are in my top 10. I think there's a guarantee that one of them may make my top 10, and it might be Better Call Saul. But I don't think I don't hide The Wire. Absolutely, man. The Wire is amazing. Deadwood is amazing. See, I couldn't make my list. My list is too all over the place. I got Battlestar Galactica right there at the top. Battlestar, Succession, Game of Thrones, Sopranos. Oh my God. There's just too many, man. There's just too many. Too many good shows. Al says, didn't she play Madonna? What'd she play Madonna in? Isn't she supposed to be playing Madonna? I heard that she was, I think I probably talked about it. Yeah, there was a story from a few months ago that she was like in line to be cast to play Madonna. But then didn't remember Madonna got like janky about the project and it didn't happen or whatever. I don't know. What is her name? Don't just sit here. Gardner? Julia Gardner. That's it. It's Julia Gardner. Let's see what she's got going on. What has Julia Gardner got going? She's so awesome. Let's see. In order to find out what she's got going on, Julia Garner. God, I'm such an old man. All right. Yeah, this is her. Nah, you guys know what it looks. I don't want to share this picture. I just want to see what she's got going on. We're in bonus time now, folks, anyway. Show's over. No tips. Did this one for free. You got to see, what does she have in development? Okay, so in development, I do not see the Madonna movie. I see Apartment 7A is in post-production. That looks like that is going to be the next thing that we'll see from her. Apartment 7A. Let's see what that is. It's an upcoming American psychological thriller film directed by Natalie Erica James from a screenplay she co-wrote with Christian White and Skylar James. It is intended to serve as a prequel to Rosemary's Baby. There you go. So Julia Gardner is slated to play the new Rosemary in Rosemary's Baby prequel, sequel, whatever. Wolfman is another one she's got. Wolfman to be announced. That is in post-production. It means she shot it, she filmed it, and now she's on to her next thing, and they're working in a lab to make a sensible movie out of that. Weapons is a 2026 release. I don't know what that is. Here you go. She's playing Shayla Ball, the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four reboot. How many times are they going to reboot the Fantastic Four? I think in my lifetime now there's been like a few, right? A few different incarnations of the Fantastic Four, and it always sucks. Jennifer Garland. She was in Girls. She played Charlie's roommate in Girls. I never watched Girls. There's that Lena Dunham show. I was like, I support you ladies, but I don't need it shoved down my throat. I'm going to be over here watching Sunday Night Football while you girls are getting together over there on HBO. Anyway, all right, there you go. Yeah, Julia Garner. It doesn't say anything about Madonna. You're right, though. I do remember that story. I wanted to see if that was in production. It's not. All right, folks. Love you. You have yourself a great weekend. Do the best you can to everybody. Don't judge anybody unless they deserve it. You know what I mean? Be open-minded. Have fun. Smile at people. Oh, can I tell you something? Here's another thing I'll tell you. Don't drive a truck. Don't drive a pickup truck. If you're driving a pickup truck, you're on my shit list right now. I'll leave you with this. There was a dude at the corner. Pull up all the way is what I'm saying. If you're in the right lane, okay, and you're at a red light and there is a turning lane where people to go right so they don't have to wait for the red light and you have room. This dude had an entire car and a half length room. He was so far back from the line, it seemed to me he was intentionally blocking my access to the right turn lane. That you can't honk at people anymore because people shoot you. That's right. No, you're awesome. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Jimmy Smells. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to well, hold on, keep going here. I'm sorry, I lost my page. There we go. I want to say once again, Peter, welcome. Thank you. Leslie, thank you. Jameson, thank you. Barney, thank you. Whitney, thank everybody. Thank you. I can go through this all day long. You guys have yourself a great weekend. Love you all. Again, like, follow, subscribe. Monday, we'll figure this out as we go. Direct your attention right there. If you can help, that'd be fantastic. Love you all. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. See ya. All right, Al, you know what? Wait a second. Before we do that, I should be clear. I should be clear. Al says, I drive a truck, a Tundra. I will not block the right lane. Thank you. Thank you for admitting that you do drive a truck and that you will now concentrate on not blocking the right lane. I think these are really just the F models. I think it's always an F-150 and F-250. I think it's always that. I don't know that this translates to all pickup trucks across the board. But I can tell you, if you drive an F-150 or an F-250, for some reason, you're always blocking that right lane.